There, welcome to Feast and Farm Cooks. My name is Rachel Ballard. This is the channel where I teach you how to cook more from scratch in your own home kitchen. And today we're talking about labels on beef, specifically answering the question of which is healthier, grass-fed beef or grain-fed beef. I got a little of both around here, and yes, we're actually in my barn. So take it from a lifelong beef farmer. We're going to talk about those today so that you can buy the beef that's right for your wallet and your conscience next time you're at the store. The reality is that every cow is grass-fed. So that term by itself really means very little. In the springtime or in the summer, cows eat pasture and fresh grass in the field, and then in the winter and the fall, they have hay. So dried grass and forage makes up the bulk of their diet, no matter how the meat is labeled. What may matter more to you is understanding how that beef was finished. Now, if you've never heard the term finishing before, all cows who are going to be made into a beef are finished one of two ways. They're either grain finished or grass finished. For the last 4 to 6 months of their life before they're taken to slaughter, they are fed a specific diet. The whole point of all that they're being fed is to help them put on weight and fat and build meat that is going to be most flavorful when they are slaughtered. What's a grain finished cow? A grain-finished cow is simply a cow who was fed during those last 4 to 6 months of their life before slaughter a bulk of grains. Now, they may get grains like corn. They might get grains, did you see that bee go by? They might get local foodstuffs like grains from a distillery process. A lot of times the bulk of their feed will be grain for those last few months. Now, grain-fed beef is not necessarily organic. It can be organic if the grain they are fed is USDA certified organic grains, or that make sure that their feed has been grown organically. Grass-fed beef, instead of having grains for those last 4 to 6 months, they continue to eat grass and forage. Because it's grass-fed does not mean it's organic. It also has to have been fed an organic diet or grasses that were grown in an organic way in order for that meat to be organic. So if it doesn't say organic on the label when you go to the store, it's not necessarily. There are a couple of other terms like certified naturally grown that we can get to later, but if it doesn't say organic on the label and it hasn't been certified, regardless of what other fancy stuff is on there, like it's grass-fed and it's pasture-raised and it's all those things, it's still not going to be organic. Grass-fed and grain-fed beef can both be raised in a feedlot. So if you have issues with feedlot beef, keep in mind that those terms don't tell you anything about how that cow's life was or how it was raised. It's just telling you about the diet it was on prior to slaughter. Both grass-fed and grain-fed beef may or may not have been given antibiotics or growth-promoting hormones during the course of their life. Are you confused yet? So let's take a look at some numbers. Now, I pulled this data from our friends at the Beef Checkoff. You might know them as Beef It's What's for Dinner. I consider them to be a really neutral source when it comes to information about beef because they'll tell you up front that they support all kinds of beef and you get a little bit more of that unbiased information. And no, they do not support this video. They do not sponsor it. It's just where I go to get my data when I'm looking for something to share with you. Are you surprised? Look at that. Most of it is pretty close. When you get down to the fat statistics at the very bottom, you can see that, yes, grain-fed beef has higher fat content than grass-fed beef does, but that doesn't really surprise me because grain-fed beef tends to put on more fat and more marbling within the meat, which gives it more flavor. I personally am a grain-fed beef kind of girl. That's what we like. That's what we grow on our farm, and that's what we enjoy. I find that grass-fed beef is dry and has very little flavor, but the difference in fat can kind of be equated to the fact that there's less marbling in a grass-fed beef. I include beef as a part of our healthy lifestyle, and I want you to be able to include it in part of yours. I think choosing the beef that's right for you is perfectly fine. Whatever fits your budget, whatever fits your lifestyle and your conscience is what you should choose. If you have any questions, leave those in the comment area and let's see if we can help clarify things. I know it can feel a little confusing when you first start out, but I'll be here to help you. Thanks.